There's something about a preseason game that really tests the nerves of even the most loyal fans. You tell yourself it doesn't matter. You convince yourself the results mean nothing. But then you see your team give up 30 unanswered points, go 1 for 13 on third down, and cough up the ball 4 times, and suddenly it matters. It matters a lot. Now look, we all get it. The 49ers didn't throw their stars into this one. Brock Purdy? Sitting. Christian McCaffrey? Didn't even lace up. Most of the starting lineup was watching from the sideline with their arms crossed and helmets off. But here's the truth about football, preseason or not. There's still rules of the game that can't be ignored. And one of those rules is this: if you can't block, you can't win. Period. And man, if there was one glaring red flag waving from that game, it was depth on the offensive line, especially at tackle. It was as if the universe was screaming, if Trent Williams or Colton McKivitz go down, this whole thing might unravel fast. It's not just about protecting your quarterback. It's about protecting your entire season. And the scary part? This isn't a new issue. This is something the Niners have flirted with for a while now. They continue to play this dangerous game of pretending they can scheme around offensive line issues. Kyle Shanahan, being a former wide receiver, and John Lynch, a former safety, seem to have this shared belief that they can just out-design their way around weaknesses in the trenches. But if you watch that preseason game, or if you've watched any of the 49ers' big playoff losses over the last few years, you know that idea doesn't hold up when it matters most. When you go up against elite defensive lines, you can't fake it. You either have the dudes up front or you don't. And I'll tell you this, watching Spencer Burford and Austin Pleasance try to hold down the edges, that did not inspire confidence. Burford's been a guard. He's not equipped to slide out to the edge and block the blind side of Brock Purdy if it came to that. And Pleasant? He's trying, but he's just not starting material. If McKivitz is already a question mark, then who's the answer behind him? That lack of depth should terrify this coaching staff. And it should frustrate fans. Because it's not like we didn't see this coming. And it's not like the solution wasn't available. Drew Dalman was right there in free agency. That guy could have been a fix right up the middle. A huge franchise-level investment that would have made life easier for Purdy, easier for the backs, easier for the whole unit. But instead, they let him walk, and they keep kicking this problem down the road like it's going to go away on its own. Newsflash, it's not. But let's pull back just a little. It wasn't all doom and gloom out there. In fact, the night started off pretty strong. The backup offense came out and marched down the field against a Broncos defense that was one of the best in the league last season. Mac Jones dropped a 50-yard bomb to Jordan Watkins that made you sit up and say, okay, maybe we've got something here. And look, that QB2 spot, it's already in a much better place than it was last year. Mac Jones might not be a superstar, but compared to Josh Dobbs or Brandon Allen, I'd take Mac any day of the week. At least you can see the fit. You can see how he works in this system. He's accurate. He gets the ball out on time. He's got that point guard style of play that Shanahan loves. It's not flashy, but works. And Watkins? He's got that 4.3 speed. But he's not just a sprinter pretending to play receiver. He tracks the ball well. He knows how to position himself. It's like having a center fielder who can run a 60-yard dash in 6 seconds, but also knows how to judge the ball off the bat. That's a rare combo. Now, yeah, Watkins did mess up on that interception later in the game, ran a sloppy route, and it bit them. But that's part of the growing pains. These young guys are learning the playbook, adjusting to the timing, and figuring out the NFL speed. You live with some of those mistakes as long as you're seeing the flashes. Speaking of flashes, how about Sebastian Valdez? That guy looked ready. He was slithering through gaps, disrupting plays, getting into the backfield. He's got violence in his hands, a quick get-off, and real strength. He's the kind of player who doesn't just show up in the stat sheet. You feel him on the field. You sense the impact. And with the Niners being a little thin at defensive tackle, you got to think he's got a real shot to make this roster. Same goes for C.J. West. He didn't have gaudy numbers, but you felt his presence. He pushed the pocket. He made life hard for the quarterback. He allowed other guys to clean up the play. That stuff matters. That's how defensive lines work. Everyone eats when the right guys are doing their job. But the depth concerns aren't just on offense. They're on defense too, especially at linebacker. Nick Martin was flying all over the place. And yeah, He missed a few tackles. He overpursued, but at least he was there. His helmet was always in the frame. He wasn't lost. He wasn't guessing. He was just trying to make a play a little too fast. That stuff can be fixed. You can coach that. You can polish a guy who's aggressive and sees the field. You can't teach instincts, and he's got them. Now, I'm not going to pretend the quarterback depth after Mac is anything but rough. Carter Bradley and Tanner Morai looked more like civilians than quarterbacks. No touch, no feel, just spraying passes all over the field and making decisions that had you pulling your hair out. If either of those guys has to see a snap in the regular season, we've got problems. So don't be surprised if the Niners are scanning that waiver wire after roster cuts, looking for a true QB3 they can trust. And shout out to Curtis Rourke. He didn't even play, but he might have had the best afternoon of any quarterback simply because he didn't throw a pass. That's how bad the others were. Still, some other young guys stepped up. Alfred Collins is a big body, 6'5", 330. You can't miss him out there. And while he wasn't lighting up the stat sheet, he was doing the dirty work, taking on double teams, plugging up running lanes, disrupting without finishing. He's raw, but he's got tools. Now, yes, sometimes he plays a little high. He exposes his chest and loses leverage. That's something the coaches are trying to drill into him. Don't stop on contact. Keep driving. Keep working. And if he figures that out, he could be a force. He's not Javon Kinlaw 2.0 just yet, but the worry is there. We've seen big, strong guys look the part and never become a part. It's all about consistency. And then there's the guy they're calling the Hulk, Sebastian Valdez. He plays like a dude possessed, explosive, strong, violent. He flashes on tape, and you can tell the coaches have noticed. For Shanahan to say he might have flashed more than anyone else on the field, that's not nothing. That's a big-time statement. He's putting himself in position not just to make the team, but to be a contributor in the rotation. You also can't ignore what we saw from some of the undrafted guys. Every year, there's at least one who find a way onto the roster. And this year, guys like Corey Kerr, CJ West, and even Alfred Collins are making strong cases. Now, if we're being honest, one of the most intriguing stories coming out of this preseason isn't even about the players on the field. It's about the coaching staff. Because for the first time in a while, it feels like the 49ers have a staff that can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the league. When you've got Kyle Shanahan running the offense, Robert Saleh back in the building calling the shots on defense, and a revamped special teams unit that's looked sharper already in camp, you start to believe this group has the brains to match the talent. That matters. You can have all the flashy names and raw athleticism in the world, but if your sideline isn't in sync, if your game plans aren't elite, you're not going anywhere in January. What really stood out was how the coaching staff had this team flying out of the gate. Sure, it unraveled later when the third stringers took over, but early on, the backups were pushing around the Broncos starters. That opening drive touchdown, that defensive energy, the way the team moved with urgency, that's a reflection of coaching. That's what Saleh brings back. Last season under Nick Sorensen, the defense looked hesitant. They were thinking instead of reacting. This year, the early signs are the opposite. Players flying to the ball, gaps getting filled fast. No second guessing. That's a huge shift in mindset, and it starts from the top. Now, obviously, preseason doesn't mean much in terms of wins and losses. That's not the point. Nobody is lifting a Lombardi for going 3-0 in August. But there are patterns to watch, signals to notice, and lessons to take with you into the regular season. One of those lessons is that depth matters more than ever. This team has a championship-caliber roster at the top. No question. But start peeling back a few layers, and it gets thin, especially in the trenches. And you saw that when the offensive line started to rotate, the drop-off was immediate. It's not just about star power. It's about sustainability. Injuries are coming. That's just the nature of the NFL. And when they do, you've got to have answers. You can't roll out guys who look like practice squad fillers and expect to hold up against elite defenses. The Niners have flirted with disaster before in this department. The question is whether they finally learn from it or keep repeating the same mistakes. But let's not pretend it's all bad. This team has some real gems on the rise. Let's talk about Ricky Pearsall. The hype around him has been building all offseason, and it's starting to feel real. People inside the building are saying his camp has resembled Brandon Ayuk's breakout stretchback in 2022. That's not a light comparison. That's a signal. If he stays healthy and continues to build chemistry with Brock Purdy, Pearsall could be a legitimate weapon in this offense, not just another depth piece. He's smooth, he's precise, and he's already becoming a go-to guy in team drills. You can feel the staff's confidence in him rising, and now fans are starting to catch on too. That wide receiver room is going to be fascinating to watch as it shakes out. With some veterans fighting for spots and young guys like Pearsall and Watkins pushing hard, there's going to be some tough decisions. And when you look at how Shanahan builds his offenses, he wants versatility. He wants guys who can block, run precise routes, and play multiple positions. That's the standard now. You can't just be a one-trick deep threat and expect to make the cut. Same thing goes on the defensive side of the ball. One guy who continues to pop is Marcellus Siegel at safety. He's flying around, making plays, showing good instincts. He's the kind of guy who maybe doesn't get talked about a ton, but ends up making crucial plays down the stretch. That's the theme with a lot of these young defenders. They may not be household names yet, but they've got tools. The key will be consistency. It's one thing to flash in camp. It's another to do it under the lights with the bullets flying. And speaking of lights, there's one guy we need to bring back into the conversation, Upton Stout. Now look, when he first walked onto the field at rookie minicamp, you probably had the same reaction as a lot of folks. Wait, this guy? He's tiny. But then the pads came on, and suddenly it all made sense. His footwork, his stickiness in coverage, his physicality despite the size, it all popped. And now he's squarely in the conversation as a starting nickel corner. That 4.4 speed shows up. The ball skills are there. And when he's in coverage, he plays with that chip on his shoulder, underdog edge that you love to see in young corners. He missed time recently, but if he's healthy this week, you better believe he's someone the coaches are itching to evaluate in live action. Same thing with Mike Williams. The first-round pick needs to get out there. Whether it's preseason game 2 or 3, he needs to be on the field. The staff has him penciled in as a starter opposite Nick Bosa, and that's no small task. They're counting on him to produce right away. He's big. He's powerful. He's physical. But can he set the edge at the NFL level? Can he be more than just a traits guy and actually wreck games? We need to see it. He's another one where if the flashes from camp translate into the game, then this defense just got a lot scarier. And honestly, the more you look at it, this year's team is young. Really young. Between the rookies, the UDFAs, and second-year guys stepping into bigger roles, the youth movement is in full swing. That means there's going to be some mistakes, some blown assignments, some learning on the fly. But it also means there's upside. Real, game-changing upside. And if this coaching staff does what it's supposed to, if it molds these guys, builds them up, gives them real chances to contribute, this could end up being one of the deepest and most dynamic 49ers rosters we've seen under Shanahan. But all starts now. These preseason games matter more than people think. Not for the scoreboard, but for the foundation. You need to know who you can trust. Who's ready to step in when the injuries hit? Who's going to flash in August and disappear by October? And who's going to stick around and make plays when it counts? This staff has their work cut out for them, no doubt. But the pieces are there. And you get the feeling this team is one solid camp stretch away from being fully dialed in. Now, shifting back to the quarterback spot for a second. That interception thrown by Mac Jones? Let's just be clear. That's not on him. That's on the route. Watkins didn't sell it. He was lazy at the top. That's why the corner jumped it. It's a timing offense. Shanahan's system is based on rhythm and trust. If the receiver isn't where he's supposed to be, it all falls apart. But outside of that play, Mac looked sharp. He looked decisive. And again, compared to last year's backups, that's a massive upgrade. But after Mac, it gets murky fast. Carter Bradley might have arm strength, but his touch is non-existent. He's telegraphing throws. He's locking on. And Morai, that one play where he rolled out like he was playing backyard football and threw it straight to the DB, that was the kind of mistake that makes you question whether he even belongs on a camp roster. Those two guys are holding clipboards at best. And frankly, with how they looked, you wouldn't want them anywhere near the field if disaster struck. That QB3 spot might not seem urgent, but it could be crucial by mid-season. Whispers around the NFL landscape suggest that the San Francisco 49ers may have pulled off a quietly strategic move that could redefine their defensive identity for the 2025 season. Rumors swirling through locker rooms, analyst circles, and fan forums indicate that Danielle Hunter, a name long associated with relentless pressure off the edge and game-changing plays, is allegedly on the verge of joining the 49ers as their new edge rusher. Although official confirmations are still pending, insiders hint that Hunter's potential arrival could signal a dramatic shift in the team's defensive schemes, offering a versatile weapon capable of both pass rush and run support. The murmurs speculate that this acquisition, if finalized, would allow the 49ers to implement more aggressive blitz packages while maintaining stability against the run, effectively creating a dual threat that could trouble quarterbacks across the league. The excitement is palpable, with some sources suggesting that Hunter's presence might even influence draft and free agent strategies as the team recalibrates around his skill set. While concrete details remain elusive, the buzz hints at a carefully orchestrated plan designed to elevate San Francisco's defense into a dominant unit capable of challenging for a Super Bowl run, and fans are increasingly eager to see if these whispers materialize into reality. Speculation continues to build around how Danielle Hunter's rumored addition to the 49ers could impact the team's defensive front, with insiders suggesting that his role would extend far beyond a traditional edge rusher. Sources close to the organization hint that coaching staff may be envisioning innovative schemes that utilize Hunter's agility, power, and relentless motor to generate pressure while disguising blitzes and coverage. Analysts circulating through media channels suggest that his potential influence could be transformative, providing a veteran presence that elevates younger players while increasing competition in practice, ultimately strengthening the unit as a whole. Discussions among league insiders also focus on the strategic implications of pairing Hunter with the existing defensive core, speculating that the 49ers could shift toward more hybrid alignments to maximize his effectiveness. Though nothing is confirmed, the chatter emphasizes that Hunter's addition might change the perception of San Francisco's defense from solid to elite, creating new angles for defensive coordinators to exploit opponents. The rumor mill suggests that if Hunter does join, opposing quarterbacks may have to rethink their timing and decision-making, knowing that a high-caliber rusher could appear from anywhere along the line. Such whispers naturally generate a sense of anticipation among fans, who eagerly imagine a defense capable of redefining dominance in the league. Adding to the intrigue, speculation suggests that Danielle Hunter's rumored signing with the 49ers might not only boost the defensive line, but also influence the team's overall strategic approach, particularly in high-stakes games where defensive pressure can alter the outcome. Industry insiders hint that Hunter's unique skill set could allow head coach and defensive coordinator to craft complex schemes that balance aggression with adaptability, giving the team the flexibility to adjust mid-game, depending on opponent tendencies. Rumors suggest that this could mean more disguised stunts, exotic blitzes, and varied gap assignments that keep offensive lines guessing, potentially forcing turnovers and creating momentum swings. Analysts on social media and sports networks continue to circulate theories that Hunter's impact might extend into locker room leadership, providing mentorship to younger pass rushers while instilling a mentality of relentless pursuit and accountability. Sources speculate that the timing of his rumored arrival is critical, as off-season conditioning, mini-camps, and early-season practices may define the extent to which his integration influences the defense. While official statements remain scarce, the consistent buzz suggests that Hunter could become a cornerstone in shaping the 49ers' defensive identity, a development that fuels endless discussion among pundits, fans, and even rival teams monitoring San Francisco's evolving roster dynamics. The prospect alone is enough to energize the fan base, hinting at a season filled with anticipation and defensive excitement. The murmurs surrounding Danielle Hunter's potential role with the 49ers are generating discussion not just about his personal abilities, but also about how his presence might redefine positional expectations across the league. Sources hint that Hunter could serve as a template for a new breed of edge rusher who blends raw power with exceptional awareness, challenging traditional approaches to quarterback containment. Rumors suggest that San Francisco's defensive staff may design schemes that leverage Hunter's strengths in creative ways, such as stunts that mask his approach, zone blitz concepts that confuse offensive lines, and situational pass rush packages that maximize his impact late in games. Analysts speculate that these possibilities could increase the 49ers' ability to control tempo, force 3-and-outs, and create scoring opportunities by turning defense into a sudden offensive weapon. Social media chatter reinforces the idea that Hunter's rumored addition might elevate not only statistical output, but also the intangible elements of leadership, work ethic, and on-field intelligence, creating ripple effects across the roster. While the organization has remained tight-lipped, insiders suggest that the ongoing buzz is indicative of serious negotiations or finalized plans, with sources hinting that fan engagement and ticket sales could be positively influenced by such a high-profile acquisition. If the rumors hold true, Hunter's integration could signal a defining moment for the franchise, a calculated risk that may pay off with a revitalized, elite defense poised to challenge the league's best offenses, turning speculation into an eagerly awaited reality. Finally, the ongoing speculation around Danielle Hunter's potential move to the 49ers highlights not only the strategic implications for the team, but also the broader narrative of how one high-profile acquisition can alter fan expectations, media coverage, and even league-wide dynamics. Rumors continue to suggest that Hunter's presence might allow the 49ers to pursue more aggressive defensive philosophies, increase rotation depth along the line, and create matchups that exploit opponent weaknesses, all while keeping the league guessing about San Francisco's true intentions. Sources hint that coaching staff may see Hunter as the linchpin in constructing a defense capable of contending with elite quarterbacks and dynamic offensive systems, potentially transforming the 49ers into a nightmare matchup in critical games. Social media speculation and insider chatter suggest that if Hunter joins, his influence could extend beyond on-field performance, potentially inspiring locker room culture shifts and setting new standards for preparation, intensity. And that's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.